What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo, and today, the big reveal. What? I don't even know what I titled this, but I know I'm going to make it some kind of mystery because the player that I'm about to talk about, the Rocket, the guy who's opping, the guy from a country in the Iberian region that is very underrepresented, has been taking names recently. The guy who was higher than Simple on leaderboards at Cologne at one point during the tournament. That's right, you guessed it. It is Sunpayus. And I went on Twitter just now to tweet out and ask how to pronounce Sunpayus. You know, I've heard Sunpayus, of course, but I wasn't sure. We got some different answers. Cream Payus, Sun Poop Ass, Sunpayus, Sunpayus, Soon Pius. But the thing is, I know which one's right, even though it's actually 5 different answers, and that's really annoying. Why are we talking about Sunpayus is because he is replacing ENCE. Damn it, I was so close. He was replacing Hades on ENCE. A lot of the evil that came from these roster moves during this roster mania phase that we just all had to go through together, you know, arm over shoulder in the trenches together. We're the ones who had to deal with it. It's because of ENCE getting rid of Spinx as a team that was top 3, losing their top player to another team in the top 5, and then losing their opper and picking up another opper from a Spanish team. There is no other top Spanish team, and they just took that player. So now they might be, you know, we might be ruining multiple rosters all at once is the thing. I mean, hey, maybe it works. I don't know. Maybe it works. I think it's probably more likely that it doesn't, though. Okay, Sunpayus. It's not that I have a problem with Sunpayus. Not that I have a problem. It's the newness. It's grabbing someone new into a new team, and that's a risk in and of itself. Plus, it's not like it's simple going to ENCE. It's a guy that has to be, we'll see. You know, we'll see. So right now, Sunpayus is kind of, he's new school, actually. I mean, for his recorded games on Liquipedia, because I don't know a whole bunch, I'll be honest, about the region and the players, where I'm sure if there's any Spanish viewers, you'll leave a comment below, right? If you're not Spanish as well, let me know so I can take a total tally. I'll match it with the views to make sure. How much do we know about Sunpayus? He played, the first money that I saw he won on Liquipedia was in 2019. So he kind of is like an ISO baby, as we can call it, maybe an isolation chamber baby, right? He went into the hyperbolic time chamber from 2020 to 2020, beginning of 2022, and now he's come out, went crazy, won ESL Challenger, got the attention of ENCE, and has now made himself onto a team that was top 3 this year to replace an opper. Kind of just built all that stock right in this last 6-month period, similar to the story of ENCE, which is kind of funny. So maybe it's 2 frauds working together, you know. Just kidding, of course. I think ENCE are the real deal for sure. And I think Sunpayus seems like the real deal as well. I mean, I actually was watching some of the Movistar demos too. And I'm going to try to say Movistar correctly this time as well. I'm going to be so gracious this time. Instead of saying Movistar, okay, as a North American, just saying Movistar, I'm going to say Movistar. And if that's wrong, I really don't want to hear it. I actually don't care. I care, but I just don't want to hear it. Just don't tell me. Movistar. I'm trying. Do I get points for that? This team, I don't even remember what I was talking about. He plays on 1024 by 768 black bars. We're not watching on black bars. I actually meant to not say black bars so that no one would tell me that I need to watch this on black bars. I'm sorry, we're not watching this on black bars. If you want to watch it on black bars, take a roll of toilet paper and put it on both sides of your monitor, okay? Then you got it. You're watching it on black bars. And this demo is from Cologne. I wanted to pick a game versus one of the tier 1 teams that he played, but I couldn't find one, so I got G2. Wow, that's crazy. There was no need for that. I found this match. I was watching more, I think, of the Vertigo stuff. And one of the cool things that I noticed about the Movistar demos, and I was watching both Movistar and ENCE demos, because I just have so little context on Sunpayus and honestly, even some ENCE demos, haven't watched many of them. So the one thing I noticed was that a lot of these players on this team play multiple spots every round. Not within one round, but sorry, within one half. especially when it comes to what nades they throw and how they start out rounds. When he looked at ENCE to compare the styles, a player like Hades was going to start A every single time. I talked about this a little bit in the news video. For Sunpayus, he was starting in kind of one of three places. One in, one third of the rounds he was starting A, 1/3 of the rounds he was going mid, 1/3 of the rounds he was starting B or heaven, or starting CT to watch mid. Few different spots, so kind of way less specialized. But I noticed that wasn't exclusive to just him. That was something that a lot of the players on the team, of course, naturally, right? If one player is taking on multiple spots, say you're playing spawns on Dust 2 CT side, that means you're shoving someone else out of a spot. They're going to be playing spawns and playing another spot. So it feels like actually, in some ways, Movistar are doing a lot. So many more nades that you have to learn how to use, so many more good angles that you have to be good at. I think it works in your favor the more versatile you are, especially at this level, because harder to read. If two people play one site the same way, even if you went and hit that same site and killed the same guy 3 times and you feel really good about it, you're going up against a new challenge who doesn't have that confidence hit. So they can play the site a little differently too. It might catch you off guard. And I think for that reason, having multiple starting locations can be a huge boon, especially if it's comfortable. But when he goes on to ENCE, he is going to be more of a specialist. I think Snappy's going to use him more in a way that I'm going to guess he's going to use him in such a way that he plays one position or one site. It's a bit more strict, a bit more rigid, a bit more concrete. And some people like to have a schedule. I mean, that actually can benefit certain players. If they want to have a schedule, they want to have a routine. Depends on who you are. Like, I know for myself, I play terribly as an anchor. I think it takes too much concentration for me. I'm really good as a rotator, where I can go from site to site, going from multiple angles. I'm a really impatient player, so I'm happy to be aggressive. You know, so I'm not the kind of guy you want playing an anchor position. I've talked about this with Shocks. He's another guy. You just don't want him in an anchor position. Devil Walk said this to me at the major. He said, Shocks, let me tell you this. If the person can't sit still in real life, don't put them in an anchor position. That's what he was saying about Shocks, which I thought was very cute. Oh, I actually just got confirmation on Twitter from Sunpayus himself. Let's see what he said about how to pronounce.
Okay, guys, I'm doing this video to show you how to pronounce some Spanish names because it could be difficult for some people. So first, we go with the team name is Movistar Riders. Movistar Riders. Movistar Riders.
Movistar Riders. I can't do that.
Is one. Then we have Mopoth, not Mopath.
Mopos.
Then Death is one.
Death.
Sunpayus.
Sunpayus. Fuck.
Then Sunpayus.
Sunpayus. I have to say, I can't. I went to Spain. I couldn't roll my R's. I just didn't talk the whole time. I'm sorry. I have to say. Sunpayus. That's how I had to say it. But I'm really happy to know the correct way. Ultra super correct way. Thank you for that, Norse and Sunpayus. All right. We're off here on the CT side. I was a little bit hesitant to record this demo review because when I watched like 2 or 3 games on Vertigo, and they were good games in terms of efficacy, but I didn't think they were that interesting. You know, I mean, I think that some of the kills were just nice, and there weren't too many interesting plays, so I wasn't sure if it would be worthwhile to watch. But I really always avoided watching demos of certain maps and players that I wanted to record before, but now because I want it to be more of a thing where we're both surprised when we're watching the game. But I found that sometimes it's better and it adds more color to the game to have some demo context on these specific positions to come into it. So what I've started to do is, instead of watching the game I want to watch in the demo review, I watch a couple of games on the map beforehand. So it is kind of a surprise, but I know kind of a lot about the position and spot and the way that the tendencies and stuff, especially with recent games. I don't know if that made a lot of sense, but doing that here with Sunpayus' games, I didn't see a whole lot on CT side in particular that I wanted to see. But now I'm really curious about the G2 game here, because this was also his best match, and also a map that G2 loved to play. So we go for the Chaos drop straight off the corner of the smoke. Okay, and finally we're off onto an op. So Sunpayus kind of throws one of two smokes on A here, either for yellow, or he throws the bottom ramp smoke, and then we'll either start here over the sandbags, usually when he does throw the short smoke, which takes a little longer, or when he throws the ramp smoke, he might play back on the site or come in late for retakes, which is something that Movistar try to do regularly, you know, as the round keeps going on. So here we have this, I would call this, you know, it's not totally correct, it's kind of funny, but passive aggressive setup, right? Everybody's out in the open but hidden, so they're kind of ready to pounce. I think this actually might be hard to tell for G2 what's going on, but that flash is enormous. They've now found the op, but there's a smoke. Wow, there's a smoke going mid B, and this is actually where Sunpayus will be on duty, and Jax dies. That is a ridiculously fast shot, I will say that first, and also a really precise shot. I mean, that flick wasn't a wall bang, and GoTV demos are not exactly super precise, even though they pretty much are, but that was a clean shot for sure. Just saying, he could have potentially survived that. So here's a molly for default, waiting for the plant to come in. Sometimes you want to throw this before the plant actually gets tapped, especially with the time ticking down. I think that was perfect. Yeah, I think you heard the bomb going down afterwards. So, okay, the reason why you want to throw it before is because if you hear the plant go down and then you throw the Molotov, then that Molotov will land and the plant will be within 1 second of getting planted. So they'll force it, they'll get off it and take 30 damage. If you throw it before, as soon as you think they're about to put that bomb down, then what'll happen is the molly will land as soon as they tap it. They'll take like 60, 70 damage. I mean, they might often die, especially this late in the round when people are hurt, and you just win off that. So the other calculation is your odds, I think, of your feeling going up within these last 20 seconds go up drastically, because you know the plant, if it's open, they're going to try to go for it. So I think that made it possible for him to time. But if I heard correctly, he did preemptively throw that Molotov. Oh, look, the utility is actually really great here. Oh, a nice round overall. Beautiful shot from Sunpayus. So I think we had a super high impact round there. We saw a good display of shots being hit. We saw good utility usage of flash assist in the kill feed. And looking at his flash assist stats, I mean, wasn't anything special. I think he was just doing pretty good overall compared to top 20. Just fine. I mean, people are getting blind when he's throwing them, but not huge in terms of that. And you'd be surprised with some riflers. They oftentimes can end up flashing or throwing utility to help people get into sites and scale before they peak. Especially most oppers, I would say, who are actually a little slower pace. So I think it's not unfair to expect them to be throwing some good flashes here and there. Uh-oh. A couple of shots missed. He's got some support. Okay, this is not a great round to follow up from the last one. I think he's got rubber bullets, though. A couple of these shots look good. Does that a miskill? It's fine. We're going to move forward. Mid, just like on every other map on Vertigo, is a really awesome spot to be on CT side late into the round, because you have the ladder drop rotation, and you can push through their spawn to flank them, especially if they're going B. You know, down the ladder if you're flanking A. And sometimes it's hard to deal with, but it obviously also offers you up the split the difference rotation between A site and B site. Just something to think about. Okay, so in this situation, 3v4, you know the drill. We need some kind of late round re-aggression, okay? The most common place, and we might have a nade here that lands for sandbags or one that lands for yellow, but the most common play all teams do, I think Movistar's tendencies is the short push, but I think all teams typically in the late round look for the 2-player re-aggression through the short shelf, clear out the A ramp if they see nothing, if they see something get the kill, and then, you know, continue fighting or whatever. But try to equalize somewhat aggressively. But the only thing you can't do really is sit here on the site. So I'm expecting them to make some kind of progress. I don't like the aggression that Alex is making right now. I think that play, I've talked about this a lot, but teams that late rounds peak the ramp, I think this is just a terrible fight. I won't lie. Every time, and I'm not saying that from my own experience. I'm saying that from watching pro teams do this over the years in all the games. You see this smoke last on the crane. You see this re-aggression late where you crawl out and look for the kill way less, and you see way less flashes from behind with a player pushing out than ever before. Now you see more often that competent teams do at the tier 1 level is double short pushes, flash retakes. If it's really early, when it's super silent, I think that's the worst time to do it. Just playing sandbags as time goes down, which is maybe where he was trying to path to. I'm not exactly sure. And then also the other option, which is kind of hard on Vertigo, but going for that flank for A so you can play back. The only thing you can't do, though, is play behind here if you're down numbers. If they have 2 wall smokes, they will plant the bomb. They will win the round. No question about it. So this is a trying position for Sunpayus. I think this spot gives them the best chance to frag, but obviously you can't expect them to win in this position. So yeah, looks like... Is he going for this? G2 are actually stringing this one out, so... Depends if they're low on utility, but it looks like not. And let's see if they planted the bomb. No, that might have been a very good molly. Potentially planted on the left. The molly as well, when you see the smoke come down, you would love to throw that molly down halfway through the smoke, right? Because then when the molly's done, the smoke is done as well. So that's a timing that people should think about all the time. If you can hold your molly for a few extra seconds, don't throw it in the first half of the smoke. You know, there might be no way for a T or a CT to get back into that position you just mollied before their smoke comes up. I mean, as simple as that. So I think we don't know about mid, and we've seen that Sunpayus has gotten smoked off in the spot once before. So let's see how far he goes into mid with his op on this round. Very often late round, one rifler can be here. There of course can be an op holding him. I'm sure this is the only reason that he's not going farther than this right now. Oh, with the flash eats him alive. So they timed that perfectly. Alexi's flash, Hunter swings out, Sunpayus sees nothing. So totally called out. I mean, an op kill that early is enormous. I mean, you know, you look at the kill feed, Sunpayus is down. He's the opper of the team. That sends your confidence way up. Also, that op is not recoverable with the place he was playing, so that can help speed up your round for sure. Okay, Hunter. Nice. No, so I think for economic reasons, we don't see an op here. And we'll have the 2-player setup, which I think a lot of the best mid setups for Vertigo are the 2-player setups. The double stack here, as well as the double stack here. Playing high-low. You have full vision of nades that bounce. Of course, a flash could still be thrown, but you can hear them. Fall back into a more passive spot. I think Death's needed assistance because he was out of utility as well. So the smoke comes down. They have to give this up and hope that G2 don't call it them leaving mid, which they wouldn't be sure about yet. So far, whether or not G2 know it, they are making good progress so far. Especially, you know, no op, drawing out some utility, no aggression on A. Here's a short flash for A. And this is Alex can crack spot this. Oh, actually, oh, this is so he can peek. Okay. So they get the info, but look at the timing from G2 is really nice. So I mean, that's a great play from Movistar to make. They had to do something, but just as they tie up too many resources over on the A side, the B side hit comes in. It's a gamble. It's a risk. You're not always a genius for calling that out. But what's true for sure is that more people are re-aggressing A than B on this map. It's easier to organize. very often you have a solo player on the B site for most of the round. It's kind of just, it's an open concept map, and it's so funny because it's literally unfinished, but I think that bleeds over into its personality of a map that allows you to kind of really get creative with how you move around and how open it is, how you wrap around things, like on the B side with all the grates and the rebar and the pillars. Oh my god, don't blink. So we're seeing, you know, Sunpayus has been aggressive, I think, 0 times this game. That's the deepest he's gone. Okay, well, when he goes for it, he hits. That's a good sign as well. In terms of his opening kill percentage, it's taking, I think, I was looking at like the last 12 months, which I think he's improved drastically since then, but I don't know if his style has necessarily changed from, I guess, being really passive, which I know he used to be. I think he's just gotten better, so still kind of a slower paced opera, but less, you know, less passive because he's unsure and more passive because he knows what he wants. But taking about 20% of the aim duels on maps, opening aim duels, I should say, with a really high 60% success rate, if I remember correctly. That's not filtering for T or CT side. So looking at that was right around where Blame F was, which is interesting because it sounds bad because it's Blame F, but Blame F was, like, I think quite high compared to what you would expect for opening attempts and success. So this little height advantage allows you to not get pre-fired in the head. That's basically what it does. You can also just hide from flashes off of it. Right now, Sunpayus is praying that his next teammate doesn't die on the site so he doesn't get swung on. This is a great angle. I mean, this is now just a super winning position, right? The thing is, I don't think his teammates even need to really fight here as much because they're not going to molly or smoke short. If Sunpayus, if they organize a pop flash to take over short side now, they deserve to kill him. But there's a high likelihood, if I'm going to try to predict this round right now. Oh, shoot. I just showed the mini-map. Yeah, that I was going to say that they're not coming. There's 14 seconds. And if there is, there's going to be one person. And so Sunpayus can either big flank or look back from short side and just off the site. And now we know one gets planted and that's it. Okay, but the spots that his teammates can play fighting the ramp are opened up because of Sunpayus just holding on to that. Again, not a genius maneuver, but just goes to show you the power of a position. Okay, so actually right here, he kind of takes a quick risk. It's still early, so they'd have to go with some crazy aggressive lurk to beat this timing and walked up short, and then, you know, there it is. Okay, so Nico will try eventually. Sunpayus disposes of him, and this Molly is trying to keep him in, punishing him for getting out, but I mean, there's not really an incentive for him to fight forward. That was a good idea, and that's the round 1. So, all right, man, what did we see? I mean, when they were on his screen, apart from that one round versus the Eco, he hit him, and he did a good job of killing them very fast too. Seems like he's really quick. In terms of rotation, I mean, nothing innovative in this demo that we saw. In the other demos I watched, I mean, it was kind of going back and forth between positions. Just, you know, might be the perfect soldier for ENCE, and with the help of Snappy, can deepen that playbook and get exposure to more consistent tier 1 play, and then we can really see what he can do. But I think this ultimately makes my point, I would say, about not it makes my point in terms of I know what's going to happen, but makes my point in terms of there's not really a really big reason to assume that, like, a lot of these moves that are happening are just going to work really well. I mean, we really just don't have enough idea of how these teams are going to work together. And I think I always favor, you know, one country like Spain having a team. I think that's a beautiful thing, and all of them coming up together and then winning and everything. You know, breaking that apart hurts me a bit. I hate when it happens to every roster. When it happened to ENCE, when it happens all the time. And I don't think it's bad for teams to be international. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that's actually kind of cool too. I just You know, we don't get that much Iberian representation. So he seems very promising. There's nothing bad to say about him. We saw some really good impact rounds between utility and hitting shots. He doesn't seem scared. I seen him walk back a step one time, I think, in terms of rotation. So kind of always was very deliberate about what he wanted to do. I think Movistar is a very kind of underrated team for their versatility between their players and how many nades they all know and how many spots they all play, from what I noticed from my brief time looking at them. And I'm definitely not cheering for these roster moves to not work out. I just don't think most of them will. But I want to see the most competitive teams possible. That makes my job more fun, and that makes the game more fun to watch. So I am cheering for the Sunpayus Hades replacement, even though I think, as I talked about again in the news video, I think Hades, he got the contract extension at a point where I really wasn't a Hades believer, and got cut now in the summer a few months later after having his contract extended to 2020, end of 2023, when I feel like he improved a lot, even though he had a bad recent performance or two. This is all to say, let's see how good you are, Snappy. If you can teach two new players besides Spinx and Hades and get your way back in a top 3, that will do a lot for your resume. Not that you need any street credit because you've got it, but yeah, let's see what happens. I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, as always, let me know in the comments who you want to see next. See you in the next one. Take care.